Thank you.
Okay. Boom.
Welcome to the Persistence You podcast. I'm your host, Lizbeth Meredith. Each week, I bring you stories from amazing survivors and strivers, all threaded together with a dose of persistence. And so glad you're listening. Folks, this week, I am honored to bring you Miyuwa Adebiyi. And Miyuwa, I may have just said your name incorrectly, your last name. I was so proud of myself. But Miyuwa is my friend who is the host of Day In, Day Out podcast. He is an athlete and he just ran a marathon in recent history. And when he and I finished our conversation, when I was fortunate enough to be on Miyuwa's program, I wanted to know more about him. He brings such energy and joy to the world. And so I wanted to find out what is the story behind the story. And Miyuwa, thank you so much for your time. I know you're coming from the United Kingdom, patching in 5 hours in my future. So I appreciate you making the time after your hard day of work. Thanks for being with us.
Lizbeth, thank you for having me here on your show today. It's a privilege and an honor, to say the least.
I love it. And this will be on YouTube for listeners. This time we're making it happen. So Miyuwa, thank you. And do tell a little bit about yourself. Please, I want to know your backstory and how you got to be the person you are today.
Yeah, my name's Miyuwa Adebiyi. Yes, I'm the host of the Day In, Day Out podcast. I've been doing the podcast since 2019. Reasons why I started the podcast. As time goes on, no one tells you this, but when you go out, when you first start out in life and you go out in your sort of teenage years, you go, we are Legion. And you get a loud roar of people cheering and you go, yes, off we go. In your 20s, the crowd is still there, but it's not as loud. In your 30s, it's not. You kind of look around and the crowd is sort of dissipated, and it's more we're more of a crack tune. In the 40s, you're okay, you got your ride and die people, but with that, as each decade goes by, you get the opportunity to talk to new people less and less. So your ability to learn and grow sort of diminishes over the course of time. You know how they go, yes, you get set in your own ways as each year goes by. No, it's not a case of you get set in your own ways. It's a case of you have you miss your opportunity to talk to new people, the opportunity for you to grow and expand gets lesser and lesser and lesser through the simple process of not being able to go out as much. Maybe you've got new responsibilities which come into the fray. Maybe it's a case of, yes, that tight group of friends start to move away and they're dealing with their stuff in life, just living. But with that, I was yes, I didn't want to be set in my own ways. I didn't want to sort of miss out on that. And with the podcast, I like to talk to people and I like to learn from people. So this has given me an excellent opportunity to learn and grow along the way. I've been very privileged to have spoken to a number of people, from people who fought off cancer and won, people who have done amazing things, done adventures, started businesses, and have a whole new outlook in life. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I did not start a podcast. And by doing that, it's just, I would say it's sort of, I've grown as a person, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to speak to over 260 people.
Wow, that's a lot of guests on Day In, Day Out podcast.
Yes, and normally my podcast would be twice weekly, but with a latest addition to the family, that's kind of pushed it down to one a week. I'm getting just trying to adjust and get timings right, and I'll get back up to 2, possibly 3 times a week. We shall see.
Wow. So there's a new child in the family?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Why, thank you. Yes, I just witnessed the whole thing. Ah, the horror. It's like, it's like, but yes,
I
apart from that,
guarantee you, from her perspective, that you got the
uh, uh,
easy job.
put it this way, she was on gas, air, and an epidural. Yeah, so you know what I mean. It was a totally different journey for her compared to me. So yeah, she did a fantastic job though, and yeah, we have
Oh,
a lovely baby girl in this world.
that is so fabulous. Congratulations. And I bet that would make it really hard because you lose a lot of sleep and then you lose your focus and then you lose the ability to have a quiet room to record in. So that has to be a real
Oh, look, like this is the thing. Yeah, like the whole thing with the time, it's how can I say it's more compressed.
right.
Like the sort of like, yeah, I can't sort of take the sort of whim or like a liberty with the time. It has to be like, yes, really locked in, really focused, for it to be like to make sure things can happen. And yeah, there's times where, yeah, the odd guest counsels on me, and it's like going, I had that time set up.
Right.
No, don't do it. But you know, it
They have
can't
no
be.
idea how precious that time has become.
Oh yes, no, the time is precious. It's always precious. It's just a case of you got to make sure. Like now, it's a case of maximizing that time.
Right.
Like I won't lie. Look, in my lifetime, I have like burned enough time to like, yeah, maybe start new businesses, travel around the world, and do a whole host of things. It's just when you kind of realize that time, like we all know time is finite, but we still take it for granted.
Right.
It's like, yeah, same thing with our sort of freedoms out there in this world. Because you like look until 2020, when it was like, yeah, everything shut down and everyone was like staying at home, people just was like, yeah, this will always be open. That will be always open. And like, yeah, along the way, you can lose so much.
Right.
And like, yeah, put it this way, someone like myself who loves to go to the gym and loves being in the gym, when 2020 hit, that was gone. And like, it was a case of, yeah, I did a lot of running that year. And maybe I shouldn't have ran as far as I did from my house, but that's all gone. It's not party gate, so I'm not gonna get in trouble. At least I hope. But we shall see. But you know, it's all cool. Yeah.
You do run some real distance. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I watch you on Instagram and you're always running. Of course, England, the United Kingdom's not known for the most balmy weather. So you're running in the rain, you're running in the wind, you're running in the elements. Hey, I'm from Alaska, so I can respect that. I can't relate to it because I don't run, but I can certainly respect that you have to do whatever you do in the weather you're given. But when did all that begin hardcore for you?
Yeah. First point. Okay. Yeah. Okay. When you say the weather, okay, look, she's from Alaska, people. Alaska is like frozen tundra. It's like, yeah, yeah. Polar bears hang out there and go, yep. It's like, but,
That's right.
yeah. But for myself, I should say I'm an on and off runner. Like basically there will be segments of my life where I will go at it and I'll go at it hard. Beginning of this year, my friend, like a friend and like, well, he was a podcast guest and now a friend, Colin over in China was like, yes, like, yeah, we're gonna do the 4-4. Like he goes, do you want to do the 4-4-48? Like I don't know if you know of a gentleman called David Goggins. He's a like former Navy SEAL.
Okay.
Like yeah, one of the toughest, most probably one of the toughest, maybe like people would say, most insane human beings you might actually ever meet in your lifetime. But he does this thing every year where he runs 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And yeah, me like Colin was doing it in China. I was doing it over here in the UK.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was intensive weekend of getting it done. Started on a Friday night and ended it, yeah, on Monday. Yeah, very tiring, very demanding, but I did that amount of running and I didn't do any, like I was doing bits and pieces of running here and there, but I was like going to the gym. And then like my friend was like going, yeah, this year, London Marathon. There were some charity spots. Would you like to do it? And this was back in, I would say, beginning of June when he said this to me. And I'm like, from doing the 4:48 in February to June, I may have ran 6 times or so. So I wasn't in the best sort of cardio like shape, but it was like, yeah. But I was like, hey, saw that, like, because I was like getting back on it. This will be an excellent thing to help me. And yes, the sort of running began from that point in time to now. But it consisted of running at least like at the height, it was running 3 10-mile runs like during the week. Those were my short runs, and then doing 15 to 18 miles for my long runs. So yeah, but this is the thing, getting up to that, it was when I like first signed on to the London Marathon. There was a half marathon, which was at the end of June, which I wanted to do so I could get the sort of vibe and feeling of what it would be running around people over a great distance. We've got a thing over here in the UK, and I think it's quite global, called the Park Run, where you run 5K every Saturday. Like it'll be a case of, and you run it as a group. 5K, like is a nice distance to run, but it's not okay. 5K, I think that'll be the equivalent of 3 miles or so, like over it, yeah. But 5K, it's not what I would say a long run, and you can like be like, okay. When I signed up for that half marathon, I was in for how can I say, a painful education, let's just say, because I went at it, and like this is the thing, I would say I'm a stealthy competitive person. I like competition, but I don't like sort of broadcast it. So I was competing against people who didn't know I was competing against them in this run. Like, so I was like, yes, I must keep up and beat that person. I must like overtake this person. And like, I kind of knew I screwed up because I have set up my Garmin to like do laps every 4 miles to sort of indicate where I was at. And like before this race, like I would do 4 miles in say 45 minutes,
Okay.
45 minutes to 50 minutes. On the day of this race, like my Garmin said to me, yeah, at 39 minutes. So I was like, oh no, I've gone out too fast. Oh no, and it's quite a hot day. And I was wearing a hooded top, like a hoodie. And like it was just like it was just like a series of different mistakes. I was like, okay, took off the hoodie, like I thought I'd settle in, still running like too fast, got through the 4, got through the 8, and I still kept persisting, carrying on. And yeah, when I got to sort of mile 12, like the cramp started to settle in. And basically, yeah, on both legs. And so by the time I got into town again, both legs had cramping. I was in severe pain, and I could run for about, say, 50 meters and then run for 50 meters, then walk about 20. And I like got across the line, and I did it in the fastest time I've ever done a half marathon, but I was literally wrecked along the way. And it was just like, yes, I was sitting in the park looking at this bandstand in Leamington Spa, and basically thinking, yeah, I'm gonna walk back home, and yeah, like maybe sit down, get some ice cream, like yeah, just like yeah, like and lick my wounds. Unfortunately, I got up, I started to walk, and like my legs were like no. So I had to call my lady to pick me up from there. And yeah, much to my suffering and chagrin, it was like, but this is the thing. At that time, I weighed something like 120, almost 120 kilos in body weight, which I think is around about 260 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. But that was like at my heaviest, and like I was just purely on eat loads and lift heavy weights.
Okay.
So it was like, yeah, if you like looked at me, I'd like, it was like power, strength, power, strength. But from that sort of like when I realized the sort of mistake and error I was on, I had to change up my diet, had to like really sort of focus on what I was doing. And yeah, introduce the 3 runs, like basically 4 runs. Like the first, like when I started doing it, it was like, yes, 4 runs, 8 miles each, and slowly build up to get into the 310, like 3 10-mile runs, to basically getting it up to the 15 to 18 miles towards the end. The second sort of training run before the end, I did my fastest ever, like half marathon. And then I still finished it off, I believe, with a 18-mile run about 2 days after. It was like a journey of, yes, bringing it to that level and making it happen bit by bit. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many runs or how many like miles I ran in training to like show up for the big day for the London Marathon. But yes, I could say, long story short, that yes, I did complete the marathon. But the thing is, one of the things which you can't be prepared for, I think, if you do anything, is the way people showed up at that London Marathon and like to just support, cheer people on from that day. It was like, yeah, very overwhelming at times. I was like, wouldn't lie, I got a little bit misty-eyed at times, but yeah, it was a great experience.
It's
But yeah,
re-energizing, isn't it? When people stand from the sidelines and cheer you on, it's kind of like that in life too, when you're going through something really hard and you feel the support from other people. Like, even if you feel like you've hit a rock bottom, that propels you to keep moving forward.
indeed it does. But like, this is what I would say in life, when we don't like, I don't know what it is about like us as people and everything like this, when we're doing something positive in our life, and it's not in the sort of stage of doing it in a big run or like doing like some glorious sporting event, and you're just like, I'm trying to change my life for the better. Like, some like people need to sometimes people need to come out all the time and go, look, I see what you're doing, keep it up, keep pushing forward, because that support, even though it might be small, even though it might be tiny, can make a world of difference to people and make them drive on when they're about to quit. Like I often say, when you put something positive out in the world, you will hardly see the sort of payback from that. It sometimes will go out, and yeah, you might get a small echo of it, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, years, decades, and someone will come up to you and like, you know, when you did this, yeah, it inspired me to do that. And it's so great. It's so wonderful. But when you put negative like out in the world, you get an immediate reaction. It's visceral, harsh, painful. Like, people really want to clap back against that. I would say, look, people out there in the world, focus on the positive and help people be more positive. Help people be more than they are today. Help people be greater than they are today. And yeah, see how far they can go, because you never know. They might inspire you to go further. They might push you to go to higher heights, and yeah, to greater levels on a daily basis, a weekly, monthly, a lifetime. Who knows?
I like that point that you make, because like you said, we're just planting seeds. When we encourage someone, we don't see that immediate we don't see an immediate response necessarily. We don't know if it landed and if it helped them. We don't always get to see that. When people, especially go on social media to say negative, tear down comments, I mean, I think people almost get a high from how quickly that sparks a reaction.
Mm,
I wish we could turn that around so much because it's very important to have that long view and to put out that encouragement and to not hold back saying, you know, you're in the middle of a transformation, or hey, that was great, or you really inspired me to do, maybe I'm not a runner, but this other thing that I've been thinking about. So what a great point. You know, I would
yeah.
love to see more energy being put toward that positivity.
Yeah. And like, this is the thing, it doesn't need to apply to sports. It can be like, yes, I want to write a book. I want to go to this place in the world. I want to like, yeah, start a non-profit. It can take any shape or any form. It's you got to just it's one of those things where people just got to remember, like you got like, okay, if I planted a redwood seed today,
Mhm.
walked away, come back 10 years, you go, that's a pretty impressive tree. But long after we're gone, long after we're buried, then you see this infinite glory of what that tree could potentially be. You're like, oh, wow. I have no idea the lifespan of a redwood tree, but if someone told me it was, yeah, hundreds of years and it grows like tens of hundreds of years and grows to that mighty level, then yeah, it's like it's amazing on that side of things. And I think there's more people which can do that. I know, look, when I say this, it might not be for everyone, but if more people can, I'd say, yeah, do.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely do. When you were running the marathon, did you meet other people whose story you got to know?
Well, like this is the thing. I like, well, London Marathon, well, any marathon, I don't think it's the time for polite conversation. It's like but I like the weird thing is I did run into like a friend from back in the day.
Oh,
Like like yeah, I was like running along and like basically like he pulled up next to me and went Miyuwa. I was like, it's like, look, it's like kind of shocked because it was like, Simon? He goes, yeah, it's Simon. Do you remember me? I was like, yes. I haven't seen like apart from seeing him once about I would say 8 years ago, I
right.
haven't seen him for I would say good dog about maybe 15 years or so. So it was like, yeah, it was like, okay. It was like, yeah, you're doing the marathon. I was like, well, yeah, well, yes, of course. I've got a number, you've got a number. It was like, right. So it was kind of surreal to running into someone I knew
Right.
doing the marathon. I knew there was like a couple of other people running the race as well. Like my girlfriend's best mate, she was running it, and let's just say she did it in considerably faster time than I.
Okay.
So all I've got to say is well done, Jen, for doing a sub 4 hour marathon. Bravo, bravo. Put it this way, by the time I finished in 5 hours 23, she had enough time to go back to the hotel, have a shower, and maybe like, grab something to eat.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I'm not bitter about it. I'm not bitter.
It's just that you finish. It is not, you know, I mean, the main thing is you maintained a commitment to yourself. So that's fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Just to feel good, I'm going to challenge her to an arm wrestle at some point in the future. Like, if she beats me at that, I'm just like, okay, that's it. No,
That's right. Well,
that's
at
it.
least you can podcast and she probably can't. So there is that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you give people a chance to tell their stories also on Day In, Day Out podcast. Where can people connect with you on Day In, Day Out and also keep up with your exercise, your running, your inspiration that you provide us in inclement weather? It's fun to watch, I have to say.
Well, like basically, you can like find the Day in Day Out podcast on YouTube. You can find it on anywhere you can like download a podcast from. I am like pretty much everywhere: Google, Spotify. Yeah. So any good place where you can find decent podcasts, that's where I'll be. Yeah. And yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Muyi at 23. So MUUI dot like 23. And yeah, you'll see me and you'll find me. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so very much for being here with us today. It's been a joy to talk with you. And
Yeah.
congratulations on your new edition.
Why, thank you. Yes. It's been a joy being here, a pleasure, an honor. An outstanding half an hour of yes, polite conversation.
I so enjoyed speaking with Miyuwa from Day In, Day Out podcast. We recorded on October 17th, and I'm now giving you my quick update, just trying to mix things up a little bit and see what's easiest in getting the podcast ready. It's been a super exciting and busy week. I am very grateful to those of you who've written in and given me, thank you, Sally, for the opportunity to find new podcast guests. I've also joined Podmatch so that I can find some new and exciting podcast guests to pitch. And this week I've finished also second round of edits on Grounded in Grit. Turn your challenges into your superpower. Excited about that. And I'm about to launch my Patreon page. And so what that is, for those of you who've never heard of a Patreon page, for some writers, podcasters, artists in general, this is something that's gone on for actually centuries. But in this case, Patreon is also an app and a program that allows artists to be supported by listeners or readers of their work. And so the cool thing is I'll have a $2 and a $5 a month option for people who want to support both the podcast and the next writings. And so expect to hear a little bit about that, or join me at lameredith.com and find out more. Soon I'll have it all laid out. And again, that's the maximum donation is $5 a month. The other one is $2 a month. So no one would be greatly impacted financially, but it's for people who want to have a once a month together Q&A, question and answer time. And there will be special incentives for those who want to, be the $5 a month folks and maybe want to learn how to be a great podcast guest. Maybe they want to get a video on the book to movie process. Maybe they want, X, Y, or Z. So there'll be a menu of options that are going to benefit the patrons, and it helps support the show, offset the costs, and get me ready for the next publication. Also enjoying freelance writing on Upwork now that I'm figuring it all out. So that's been kind of fun. And in general, I'm just grateful to have fall in Tennessee and not have snow just yet, but love hearing from family in Alaska and friends who have already had snow that is stuck. But that's beautiful, and there is nothing quite like it. Gorgeous place to be. Hope you are having a fabulous week, and thanks as ever for being here at Persistence U Podcast with Lizbeth.